Oh, I hope this works. Okay, good. Sorry about that, you guys. I hit start broadcast and then it wasn't broadcasting, so I was like, what the hell? So I hit stop and was like, the broadcast has been successfully terminated. And then immediately, like, I saw on the YouTube page that my face appeared and then instantly disappeared. I was like, gosh dang it. And it wouldn't let me start the thing back up again. And so here we are. Also, I've got my glasses on because the lighting in here is garbage because we have a full-on blizzard happening outside and there's no natural light. So I've got all of my lamps turned on and my glasses so that I can read your questions without murdering my eyeballs. Yeah, just hello, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is very exciting. My glasses are beautiful. Thank you. Aw, thanks for stopping in, Multiplicity and me. It is very late in the UK. You should definitely sleep. And my bestie, Miss Julie, is here. Hooray! Every time I clicked on the video, it looked to me like a dark web video. Oh, God. It's not. I promise. It's Win, by the way. All right. Right off the bat, we are going to address a comment that I just read and that I've kind of been seeing on Twitter and I've been told has been coming up on Facebook. So let me take a drink real quick. So I want to address the pride flag colors really quick, if you'll allow me. So when I had the original idea for System Pride Day, I was like, okay, so my birthday's coming up. Birthday is a triggering time for me. How do I make this happy? Well, what if I just focus on my system and focus on, stuff like that and how proud I am of us and whatever. And the light in the glasses blind. I'll take off the glasses until my eyes start hurting. How's that? But anyway, so then I was like, well, what if, all of systems deserve to be proud of their teamwork and, how they overcame their trauma and whatever. So I was like, okay, maybe a System Pride Day, maybe that would be cool. And I started thinking about a flag and I had these color ideas that like had a lot of meaning and like I put a lot of time into that flag idea. Obviously the date was exceptionally problematic. I was not aware in any way. I just knew that day was my birthday and that was the day I wanted to cover up for me. But at the request and, we had a lot of RA survivors come and talk to us and be like, this cannot be the day. I was like, all right. And so we made an apology video. Daniel did a great time doing that. And then we also had a lot of people saying, hey, super don't like the flag. I really don't like the colors of the flag. And so here's, because they found that was triggering and this. So here's where we stand on the flag. The flag is something that I put a lot of love and time and meaning into, but the flag is just my design. And it is fantastic to me that the community has sort of rallied around it and accepted it as a flag that represents them. But I do not decide what represents the DID OSDD community. I am one person with a YouTube channel. So I have like a platform, which is great. And I'm very grateful for that. But, I'm not like the god of the multiple community or whatever. And if someone else designs a flag and, the community likes that more and they decide, hey, this is our flag now. Thanks for the idea, Win, but we're done. Then that's great. And I'll follow that. If you don't like the flag that I designed, please feel free to design your own. And if the community decides to rally around that instead, then that's great. And we'll follow suit. This is just our idea. And so the reason we're not just coming around and being like, all right, let's change the colors is because there will always be color patterns that are triggering to a lot of people because there are only so many colors and there are a lot of color-based triggers. And this is a flag that I put so much meaning into that I don't want to just flippantly be like, well, okay, we'll just change this to another color because whatever, I have no reason. So people, I openly welcome people to design flags that they feel more comfortable with, but that's why I didn't change the flag colors. I hope that makes sense. Someone says, why was the date changed? I didn't get it. Because the date was extremely triggering to survivors of RA. If you want to check out Daniel's apology video, it's called We Owe RA Survivors an Apology, and it explains it there. It's 1 a.m. Have to go soon. Just want to pop by and say hi. I have the flag up in my locker at school. That's so fun. I like that a lot of people like the flag. That makes me super happy because, like I said, there was a lot of time and thought that went into that. Let's see. I've gotten a lot of hate for supporting System Pride Day, and that's really sad. Like, there are some people who don't, I didn't ask my followers for their input. Okay, I did on my Tumblr, and it got reblogged a bunch, and I got a bunch of asks and a bunch of feedback. So I did ask. I didn't post it on my YouTube because a lot of people on my YouTube who didn't follow me on my Tumblr were people who weren't systems. They were allies. They were looking to learn. And the Tumblr is where I interacted with systems. And so that's where I posted that. So I did address my followers, and I posted it in 2 different groups as well. But as far as getting getting a hard time to celebrate System Pride, like, that is not fair to you. I understand why some people don't want to celebrate System Pride, and I totally respect that. Some people, being a system is not something that they are proud of, and it's something that brings a lot of pain and shame and all that. And if people don't want to celebrate System Pride, all power to them. That is totally a valid choice. I just ask that we respect people who don't want to celebrate, and that the people who don't want to celebrate respect us who do, because everybody's got their own journey. Let's see. There's somewhere we can send art for the day, Twitter or something. Yeah, our Twitter is @entropy_system. We've been following the hashtag and like retweeting a bunch of stuff that we've seen. There have been so many cool things. Like, there have been people creating bracelets, doing drawings of their system. There are people writing letters for their system, and just kind of internally giving support and praise, and like, everybody is just so dang creative in this community. It's so cool to see all the art things that are being done, like either drawings or paintings or crafts, or like knitting, or like, y'all are so cool. What would you suggest for someone that wanted to start a comic with the main character who has DID? I have a video called 5 Tips for Writing About DID. And it kind of tips on that. Other than that, like, talk to systems before you publish anything, I suppose. Just understand that if you don't have DID or OSDD, you will probably be wrong in things that you write, because it's impossible to fully understand what an experience is like if it is foreign to you. Like, I have a friend who is trans, and I could write a story about the journey of a trans male because of how much he's told me, but I guarantee you it would not be super accurate, awesome representation, because I only watched his journey. I didn't experience his journey, and there's so much nuance to stuff like that. So if you are a person who doesn't have, isn't a multiple, and you're going to write about being a multiple, Just there will be things you get wrong. Just try to be as accurate as you can and be as positive as you can. That's what I mainly ask. Let's see. System went on a shopping spree and bought one thing with no limit, spent $200. Woo! You had a treat yourself day. I'm an ally with a tulpa-based system. Is it okay that I'm celebrating in the same way other systems are? So, we don't support the idea that there can be systems without trauma. There are systems who claim to be trauma-free, either like natural systems or endogenic systems or tulpas or whatever, either because they're unaware of their trauma, which is totally valid, or because they're in denial of their trauma, which is also pretty valid because, you know, accepting that level of trauma is hard. Trust me, I was in denial for a good chunk of time. But the idea that it is possible to be a system without trauma is a dangerous idea. It is misleading, and it encourages people, or it discourages people from accepting their trauma and healing. So, you know, if you have a system friend and they identify as, you know, not having trauma, you know, I'm not going to say don't celebrate with them, you know, but I don't know, like I actively disapprove of the idea that there are trauma-free systems out there. I'm an ally. I want to spread awareness. I actually found this disorder extremely interesting. I'm going to ask my principal to make a system Pride Day activity. That is awesome. That's awesome. I hope that goes through. System Pride Day shirt. Yes! I love this shirt. I love it so much. The artist tweeted this as an art idea, and I was like, please put that on Redbubble because I need it in my life. So I've got my little System Pride turtle. Recently diagnosed with DID, and writing is my way of getting to understand everyone. That is fantastic. That is fantastic. Art, including writing, prose, poetry, whatever, can be a fantastic way to communicate with your system. Wish I could celebrate openly today, but for now I'll just celebrate privately. And that's totally fine. You can be proud of your system and what you've overcome, but also not be open about it. Because as hard as that is, it's like, as much as it sucks to say, it's not always safe to be open about being a system. You know, you have to evaluate that for yourself. But celebrating privately, totally valid. Just having like a little headspace party being like, I love you and I love you and we're awesome together. That is a fantastic way to celebrate. So people are saying they have to go. Yeah, I know it's late. Bye, guys. What do you do if your alters don't want to see the doctor? That is tricky. You gotta find something to work together, like either assign it to someone else, and like encourage the ones who don't like the doctor to go super back into the headspace or something like that. But seeing the doctor is muy importante. I have a question. I have a memory of looking outside my body and looking at myself. One day it clicked. It felt like I was back in myself. I have multiple surgeries that had lots, and that gets cut off there. So unfair how the public sees us. It super is, especially like, you know, people who have PTSD aren't deemed as scary monsters who should never share that they have PTSD, and DID is basically advanced PTSD for kids. You know, it's not scary. It's not something we should be ashamed of. It's how we survived trauma. How do you control switching? Is that even possible? We are able to control it to a degree. We do not have 100% control on that. But we are able to control it to a degree by communicating with each other and being able to, say, hey, please don't come out at this time. I need to, we need to have just one person handle the situation so we don't get memory gaps, or say, hey, can someone please come out at this time? This is a situation I am not equipped to handle, or, things like that. So we're able to communicate and coordinate with one another. And that's how we control it for the most part. But sometimes the brain just does what it's going to do. And it's like, boop, we switched now. It's whatever. I really hope a movie comes out that really reflects DID. Same. How do you feel with different gendered people in your system? I'm mostly cis girls and the body's female. I'm host. I love them the same way I would love my friends. We think of the body as kind of its own entity that we all live in. And so like having male alters in a female body doesn't make them any less male, and doesn't make me any less female, because there are male parts in the system. We just validate each other and meet each other where we're at. I have triggers for specific alters, so that's how I control it. Be careful with that, because triggering can be, that can make it feel like they're being controlled, and that could just be counterproductive overall. I have to go. So glad, Austin. It's scrolling so fast. Someone said they had to go. Bye. Do you know if it's common or not unheard of for alters to have supernumerary phantom limbs? Like if someone feels they have wings on the body. Oh yeah, Kit feels like she has wings. That, she kind of she knows she doesn't have them in this body, but she still kind of feels them. And when she's sitting down, she'll find herself adjusting to make room for her wings, and then being like, oh yeah, I don't have those here. My closest friend tells me not to tell people, and I need to keep it to myself. How is that right? It's not. I've had advice like that too. But, I have started being super candid about it to just about everybody, and I have not had negative stuff. I just present it like, oh yeah, I have this thing. And it's how I survive trauma, and it's really, we are able to function now because we work together as a team, and just kind of present it as if it's normal. And most people, I've had a couple people be like, that's really weird and you're really weird, but I haven't lost friends or gotten fired or anything. There's always going to be people who react negatively, but that's kind of anything. If you say, I affiliate with this party or this religion or I'm this sexuality, you're always going to have people who are weird, gross, but that doesn't mean you should hide who you are. Maybe turn on slow chat. That's a good idea. Oh no, I do have it on slow chat. It's still going too fast. 250 people are watching. That's exciting. Let's see. The guys on Grindr don't approve. I'm not gonna say I'm surprised. I would really like to do some more research on DID. Could you recommend any literature? Jonathan did a video. It's 5 resources for people who have DID. And there are some really great books in there for even if you don't have DID and you just want to learn about it. Then that is a great resource. And there's some great books. I can't think, the only one I can think of off the top of my head is Looking Through the Eyes of Trauma and Dissociation. And that was a book written for therapists to help them better treat DID, but we learned a lot about ourselves and ways to help like our inner system functionality improve from reading that book. So that's one I highly recommend. How do alters get their names? Oh, Mark T. Got parts? Yes. First person plural, I haven't read that one, but got parts I have, and that's got some good stuff in it. But how do alters get their names? They just have them when they break off. Most of my alters have, I mean, my name was the name assigned to the body at birth, and that's just the name I identify with. Most of the alters in the system have a name that is tied to something externally in our past. The only ones we can't pin are I guess Josh integrated, but when Josh was around, Josh and Daniel, not sure what those were tied to, but all the other names in the system were tied to something external that sort of surrounded their creation. How many people have DID in America? Well, that I don't have an exact number, but I know that the population of DID worldwide is estimated to be about 2%, which is the population of redheads. So if you've seen a redhead around, and I feel like just about everybody has, then that's the likelihood of you encountering someone who has DID or OSDD, and you just don't know it because we don't have things like bright red hair to give us away. Do you struggle with depression? Oh my God, yes. Yeah. Depression hits real hard. But we are on medication for that. So that helps. And we have a lot of coping tools to help us get through depression too. Happy System Pride Day. It's 1:21. I need to go to bed. Good night. Good night. Someone asked, what's OSDD? OSDD stands for Otherwise Specified Dissociative Disorder. And there are a bunch of different things that fall under that, but OSDD 1A and OSDD 1B are both system types that are very similar to DID, except they have like one significant diagnostic thing that is not there to give them a full DID diagnosis. And there's a video called More Multiples Than You Think, where I explain OSDD, if you want to check that out. Talking about fictives. Yeah, it's totally valid to have a lot of fictives in your system. Yeah. Oh, whoa. Someone says, acrylic and ether, I feel like you're faking. No offense. Yeah, don't say stuff like that. Oh my God. First of all, there's no way to say that with no offense. Second of all, you know literally nothing about them other than what they put out publicly. Third of all, don't try to tell the other systems they're faking. That's never okay. Stop it. Do you know the different favorite foods for system parts? Or for the, yes, so, let's see. Michelle loves apples. Apple everything. Kit it's not food, but she's a big fan of whiskey. She likes just having a little tiny sip worthy amount. Sometimes she likes the vapory feel to it. I'm trying to think if anyone, because like a lot of our favorites are shared. Like it'll be a favorite thing of a lot of us. I think that's just part of sharing a brain and a body. I can't think of any others at the top of my head. Wynn, do you think you will get another fictim? I sure as hell hope not. Or no, another fictive. Not because I don't appreciate my fictives, because I love them and they're amazing, but I don't want to split again because that means that we met a situation that we were not able to handle on our own. And I don't want to be in a situation like that. That would be crappy. Let's see. Someone says, can you message you on Instagram? We don't do, it's okay to split. Stop, Miss. Oh, yes, Julie. I know it's okay. Like, there's nothing wrong with splitting. It just, like, that would mean that I had to go through a situation like the crap I went through in October. And that was a miserable time. That was miserable. I cried so often. I got so triggered back to back to back. And that's what caused the split. And Ed and Oz are amazing, and I love them, and they do so much good stuff for the system. But I don't want to have to go through something that would cause a split. That's what I'm saying. But yeah, so someone asked if they could message us on Instagram. And we don't do private messaging at all, period, because we have just gotten into some shady situations with some people who intentionally triggered us or unintentionally triggered us. And so we just do not do private messaging. We don't accept anybody who is not actually like our in-person friend or family onto our private Instagram either. Our only Instagram is a private Instagram. So, you know, if you see us commenting around and then you friend request us and it gets immediately denied, that's why. It's a protective thing. We got to put safety first. But feel free to tweet at us or comment. We try our best to get all the questions on the comments answered, but there are a lot of comments that come through. Sometimes Harley doesn't feel valid because we don't know what caused her split. Harley is still super valid. It's okay to not know what caused a split. Sometimes the brain just decides that needs to happen. I was unaware when Jessica split off that I was going through a situation where I didn't, I couldn't handle it on my own. And then Jessica came out and was all like, hey, so you're suppressing a lot of stress and stuff. You need my help. And I was like, apparently I do. Luckily, she knew why she split off because I was completely blindsided by that when that happened. Somebody keeps saying Wynn's trauma story. Like, I'm hiding this account. Please stop making that comment. You do great with your comments on videos. Thank you. I try really hard. Let's see. Can we just be fun, happy chat time? This is a time to celebrate. Yay, celebration. Is it weird for a system to have no persecutors? No, that is not weird. It is not weird at all. Some systems adapt with persecutors because the type of trauma that they went through, the persecutors were able to help in their own way. Others do not, because that was not a way to adapt to, to cope with their trauma. So it's fine if you don't have protector persecutors. And I used just persecutors when I was first figuring out the DID stuff, but I prefer the term protector persecutors or persecutor protectors, because they are protectors. They're just misguided protectors. And I could talk about that all day. What are your hopes for the future of System Pride Day, like next year and beyond? Next year, I really want to find a way to do like a public meetup in Omaha, because that would be super cool to, just have like a physical location where a bunch of us could get together and just meet other systems. And, I really hope that this continues to be a thing, that every, February that we're able to celebrate, at least online, and that the community, gets to do that. Like, I hope this isn't just a one-shot wonder. I hope that it continues on and continues to gain popularity and that it continues to break down stigma, and it's just all good. Is it spelled Win or Win? It's one N. So my first name is Bronwyn. But whenever I say that, people are like, oh my God, how do you spell that? Where's that from? That's so pretty. What's the origin? Then I get a million questions. So if I just introduce myself as Win, I don't get those questions. So that's what I go by. Me, myself, and Aliu. We need to fly. Thank you so much for coming. Mwah. Love you, friend. What do you do when you're scared to talk to an alter because of their aggressiveness? We were super scared of Karen before we knew her deal back when she was Monster. And our therapist taught us how to do that. She was just like, hey, you know what? Validate monsters experience, and, you know, let them know you appreciate why they're aggressive. And yeah, I completely understand why you would feel that way. And yeah, I completely understand why you would want to, you know, hurt so-and-so or whatever, you know. But, you know, what do you think that would do for the system? You know, because that would just cause more pain, right? So maybe we can direct that somewhere else, you know. And there are ways to, like, get out the desire to, like, hurt abusers or something that doesn't actually cause harm, you know, like writing a letter and then throwing that letter away, or like getting a paper doll of the abuser and just like ripping it to shreds. Like, so there are ways you can validate that. If the persecutor protector is like persecuting at the system or one member of the system, there are ways you can help like deal with that as well. Like if they're hurting the body, you can get them like markers to color or paint. With Kim, we got her henna so she could draw with henna on, you know, the body instead. Yeah, there are all sorts of ways to kind of validate and help them get through that aggressiveness without condemning why they are that way. I wonder what people... Oh, it's so thick. Anyone know a technique to switch alters out on command? Build communication. Work together as a team. That is my advice for that. Yeah. Hi, Wynn, is there a reason you blocked the comments on the video that involved your parents? Yes, I did. Because there were just a lot of assumptions being made about my childhood and a lot of speculations, like open speculations about my childhood. And we just, oh, so hey, say hi to Jen and Jeff. Hi, Jen and Jeff. I love it so much. I can't wait to play Overlight with you. I didn't see you on the chat. Where was I? I'm just on the thing. Oh yeah, there were a lot of speculations and people would be like, oh, I assume that Wynn's childhood was really great in this aspect or really terrible in this aspect. And speculating on anything in my childhood period is very triggering to me. And that sent us into heavy levels of distress. And so we're like, okay, we don't want to take down this video because it's a super solid video. And my parents were amazing for being a part of it. You know, because my relationship with my parents has grown a lot, and you know, we're at a point right now where we can be friends and have fun, and I'm going to be leading an Overlight campaign for them tomorrow, which is really exciting. You know, and we're just going to hang out and have a good time. But speculating about my childhood, super not okay. So we were like, okay, let's see if we turn off comments, if like all that trigger stress goes down. And if it doesn't, then we're just taking down the video because self-care comes before the channel 7 days of the week. And luckily ending the comments ended the triggerness. And it gets just to be a good informative video to help families reconnect. Are there any videos that you've posted on your channel that you regretted? Yes. The video of Josh's hello, which I took down because in the video he remorsefully talked about, because none of the other system mates view my parents as their parents. They all just say, oh yeah, those are Wynn's parents, including Josh. And Josh was lamenting the fact that he never had a mom or a dad. And we got some really bad people being like, oh, I'll be Josh's parent and do X, Y, Z. And I was like, oh my God. So I took down that, and the Littles will never be on our channel again. So I'd say that's the one I regret the most. Now that Jess has her baby, do you feel excited about having children of your own? I thought, okay, so this is just too fun, like cool, because Jess made a channel. And I was like, yes. And then I saw Jess's like marriage be awesome. And I was like, yes, setting this example. It's amazing. You know, because like Andrew, as I'm sure any partner would, you know, because we were married for so long, And it was like, oh, there are other people here, you know? And so there was an adjustment period where he was like, I need time, you know? But I saw Jess's marriage and I was like, yes, that is a shining example. That's what we're going to strive for. And we're there, you know? And then like Andrew and I are like, okay, so we kind of want to have a baby at some point, but how are we going to handle this DID? And there goes Jess being a trailblazer again and setting an example for us again. So we're just like, man, like, I don't know. I look up to them so much. How does everyone in your system find time to be in the body? They do not. Right now, Kim and I are the ones who spend the most time in the body. Daniel will come out at times too. But we try to make time if someone wants to be in the body. We try to make time for them. And like we'll write down on the calendar, you know, if there's something they want to do or something they want to work on. But really, like, especially with the city now, since people can be entertained and social in the headspace and we're not just on an island, there's not so much of a push to, you know, like, I want to be in the body right now. You know, we just kind of do our own thing and try to make room when we need to. Is Kim like another co-host now? Kind of. Yeah. I don't know. Like it keeps like rotating. You know, so it was like for a while it was Daniel and then it was Kit and then it was Kim and sometimes I'm not out as much and the others are, you know, taking over. Like there's been, I think in February at large, I think Kim was out more than I was. And so it was like her and Kit were hosting and I was just kind of coasting and whatever. So it just kind of switches all around. And it's fine. We're functional. We're taking care of each other. How old is Kim? That's a harder question to answer right now. So she chose a birthday for herself a few months ago. And so on that day, she's going to kind of talk to how she feels about age. But at this point, she doesn't identify as 12 anymore. She identifies as young adult, just like in the 19, 20-year-old bubble. But she doesn't have like a specific number she cares about. She's just like, I'm in the young adult where I am adult enough to take care of myself and like not like physical care of myself and emotional care of myself and mental care of myself. But I also super love little kid things like cartoons and Pokemon. And, you know, I'm not ready to be like Win and go start her own business on YouTube. You know, I'm not quite that far, but I am adult. So she's just young adult at this point. And she'll talk more about that in March or April. I forget when her birthday is. That's bad. I wrote it down though. Isn't Win the host? I mean, like technically, yes. It's all semantics, you know. It's all semantics. We're leaning away from titles at this point because it's just like we function as a team. We're entropy. That's it, and we're just entropy. Do you have an advice for system wanting to start a channel and help spread awareness? Biggest advice for systems starting a channel: you will get hate because it is YouTube. Everyone who is on YouTube gets hate. So have an external support system, because I do this because I can keep doing this for as long as I have because I have a solid external support system. I have my husband, I have my friend Jen, I have my friend Julie. They're amazing. They help take care of me. And when the hate comments get me down, they're like, "You're amazing. Let's shut them up. You're so good and valid and all this." And I'm like, yeah, I am. And then I'm able to, you know, roll on. But if I was just dealing with all this myself, I would break, you know? So if you're going to start a channel where you're doing something as vulnerable as sharing your mental health, definitely have friends that will support you and are like on, you know, like nearby. Miss Julie says, spot on impression. I know, I'm so good at impressions. See. I have to put my glasses back on. I'm sorry. My eyes are getting fuzzy. I'll try to like look down so that it's not blinding you. um, do you have art relating to DID? Will you ever show any of it? Yeah, I did. I have stuff on my Tumblr that I did when I was like early in my diagnostic, journey. And it's buried on there somewhere. Are you friends with other systems on YouTube? Yeah, Dissociated, Chloe from Dissociated, and that whole system. Like, they are such amazing people, and I am so blessed to have them as friends. Like, I could talk about them forever and how supportive they are and how just like genuinely kind and God, I love them. Yeah, so yeah, I'm so blessed. And I've also been really blessed to connect with Me, Myself, and Alu, and Bobo and Co, and Multiplicity in Me. Like, there's a really awesome the Labyrinth system. There's just a really awesome community of DID YouTubers that rally around each other, and it's very nice. Are BPD and DID very different regarding voices in the mind? I can't, like, I know textbook, yes. They are very different. In fact, like, there was this, like, infographic in a video my therapist gave to me, where it was like, if DID is a circle and there are walls and all the walls are solid, and then like a normal mind is a circle and there are walls, but there are doorways in the walls, so you can pass from one section of the circle to the other. And then BPD is no walls, just it's all mushed together. And that was kind of the best kind of descriptor I've heard comparing the disorders. But as far as like what it sounds like with the voices in the head, because I do not have BPD, I do not feel like I can speak to that. If you have that question, I know that Nan from Jeremy and Alternate Perspective has both BPD and DID, obviously. So they would be more equipped to handle that question than I would. What are fictives? Fictives are alters who were like initially based on fictional characters. Like in my system, I have Enigma and Oswald Cobblepot from the Batman universe, and I have Leto from Sense8. And they are really not like their characters. If you were to, you'd be like, everything you do is so not canon. And yes, because they're human beings with their own souls and minds and likes and dislikes, and they grow, but when in the moment where they split off, they were shaped around that identity, because that's what the brain decided that we needed. And that's a fictive. How does Leto feel about no longer being the only fictive? I've been wondering since we found out about Nas. He is actually kind of glad, because he felt a little bit like an outsider, both being a very, very new alter and being the only fictive. So having other fictives has made him, and like not only having other fictives, but having fictives that are more easily recognized by random, strangers. Because more people have read Batman than have watched Sense8, that kind of made him feel a lot more comfortable too. Can an alter have autism? A brain can have autism. So if the brain has autism, then all of the alters will have autism to some degree, but it may manifest as more severely in specific alters than it does in the others. Entropy system, you can say yahoos? I don't. When do you see your headmates as they really are? Oh yeah. Like I can look inside and I can see them as clear as day. which helps when I'm trying to draw them. We have fictives, but we call them by a different name. We call them visua, since visually they match characters. I like that. That's good. Um, how'd you pick the name the entropy system? I'm going to be putting this as a video at some point. Um, the entropy, so entropy, because I think I do talk about this on every live. But entropy is, in very, very layman's terms, the idea that if you disturb something, it will randomize. So that's why if you like lightly push a stack of blocks, the blocks will fall and scatter, you know, or if you put food coloring into water, the food coloring will disperse in the water, but it's hard. It's more effort to get the food coloring out or to get the blocks back on a stack than it is to wreck them. So anyway, I was learning about this in chemistry, and I was like, oh, that's just like my brain. And then so that's why we're the entropy system. What happened to the baby Lita was watching? Jonathan and Jacob take care of the baby now. She is as, you know, minimal as she's always been. She's just a baby that sleeps. But Jonathan and Jacob have a little corner of their apartment that they have dedicated to her and like decorated in pink and stuff. How do you help the host accept a prosecutor that holds trauma for the system? That's going to depend on the host. Are there alters that are real life people, i.e. factive? Yes, absolutely. In fact, that's what they're called. They're factives. So yeah, factives are alters that believe they, or, you know, that were formed around the concept of a celebrity or historical figure. So yeah, you could have Johnny Depp, the alter, or, you know, Joan of Arc, the alter. And those would be factives. Does anybody in the system have physical illness that the others don't have, like eye prescription or allergies? Not that we're aware of. Is it possible for your alters not to be able to see themselves in the mirror when they front? The only person who did do that in our system was Jessica. No one else, everybody else sees the body when they look in the mirror. Have you ever heard of aphantasia? It's a lack of ability to conjure an image in one's mind. Do you think this can affect someone's ability to see their inner world? I've not heard of that, but thank you for explaining what it was. And I feel like if you have trouble conjuring an image in your mind, that could definitely affect someone's ability to see their inner world. I'd be surprised if that didn't affect it, actually. Are you co-con with anyone right now? Ed is so close to the front right now. Like, he's kind of like the boss of internet drama. And there was some misinformation being spread about us today. And so he's just like right at the front being like, if I have to handle this, I'll handle this. Kid is also close. Kim is close. Daniel is close. But they're always close. Almost always. What's a good way to bring up experience dissociation with a therapist? Exactly, just say that. Be like, hey, I'm experiencing dissociation. I'd like to look deeper into that. Will you help me? And the therapist should either say, yes, I am equipped to help you with this, or no, that's outside of my realm of expertise. Let me help you find someone I can recommend to you. Oh, do you have any more information about the meetup in a magical place? Yes, because it's not going to happen. So originally, Dissociated, Pinata, and myself were going to meet in Disney and vlog the whole thing for you guys. Yeah, but it totally fell through. Just like all three of us suddenly had financial issues. I mean, obviously, Pinata is, you know, in the biggest financial issue in that they are currently homeless. And I cannot wait for them to be out of that situation. They should be here. Their last video said they should be hearing about home housing soon, which just, I hope that happens soon. But yeah, no, all three of us were just like, oh, and suddenly money is a thing. So we're not going to go to Disney. So I'm sorry that got announced and then never happened. Chris Artsy, I saw the drama on Facebook and I was like, heck, y'all ain't saying this right now. Yeah. I mean, like, if you're a person who has a platform, there will be people saying things. That's just reality. So, you know, we're better equipped to handle that now that Ed is here. Were all the elders excited to go to Disney? Like, does everyone like rides? Oh yeah, everybody was excited about different things. And we were like coordinating between the three systems, being like, okay, so this is the person who's going to be babysitting these two systems littles, and like vice versa, so all the littles can have time up front without it becoming a disaster. It was going to be really fun. I have a silly question. No such thing. Our system wants to start a YouTube channel on DID, but we're not in the place to be able to say honestly in a video that we are a system. Have you got any tips? You could try animating. There are people there are a bunch of YouTubers that you can find that will just animate rather than show their face. So if you wanted to do that and hide your identity, you know, and it doesn't have to be an in-depth animation. You can have like, you know, like 5 little emojis of yourself making different expressions and, you know, facial expressions, and just like put those on the screen as you're talking. Do you have any advice for fictives that has issue with their names? Yeah, so yeah, because people are judgmental, and that's crap. So nicknames would be the best, I think. That would be my best idea, is find a nickname that they're comfortable with that is maybe not as recognizable as the character name. What time zone are you in? I'm in the Central Time Zone. It is not 1 o'clock here. It is 7 in the evening. I have a question for Ed if he comes out. He is on standby, but it's probably just going to be Win the whole time. Kit and Andrew still have a relationship. Yes, they do. And they are adorable together. Do you get migraines? Not anymore. But I'm going to knock on wood so I don't jinx myself. Can you talk about some of the physical strains of DID? Yeah. Obviously, I try to focus when talking about the positive points of having DID, because we want to break stigma, right? But obviously, it's super not all positive. Switching is exhausting. If it happens a lot, like it got less exhausting as time went on between like the 4 of us who are up front the most, me, Kit, Daniel, and Kim. But even between us, if switching happens a lot, it is exhausting. It is like it's just so tiring, and it makes me want to fall asleep, and I get a headache and like body aches, neck pains for some reason. But yeah, no, it sucks. And then like feeling physically depressed when you yourself you are not in a depressive spell is really bizarre and super sucks. But yeah, the emotions, because there are physical manifestations that come along with emotions. So if someone inside is feeling strong emotions, it can manifest, and you're dealing with that even though you're not feeling that emotion, and that's really not great either. Is your system goal still integration? No, actually. Nope. It's not. We thought that was going to be our best way to live. But then as we sort of started to settle and adjust to our lives, you know, we're like, some of us don't want to integrate. And I don't want I'm not pushing integration on anyone, you know, like I'd be devastated if like I couldn't lean on Kit or Kim Kim anymore. So no, our goal is functional multiplicity. That's our goal. You have issues with physical memories. Yeah. So physical memories are like body memories is what we call them. And it's literally that. Like your body can have a flashback and you can experience pain or sensations just as vividly as if they were happening to you in the moment. And when my therapist taught me to deal with those, I'm like tilting my head down so I don't blind you guys with the reflection of my glasses. But what my therapist told me to deal with those is like, you know, like one time my wrist was hurting really bad. So I put my hand on my wrist and she says, thank the body part for sharing that memory. Let them know that they don't have to hold on to that anymore. Remind them that you're safe, that that thing is not happening anymore. So basically like how I would help one of my headmates go through a flashback is the same way that I help my body go through a flashback. And it helps a lot. How many alters total do I have? We are 13 right now. Can you show the kitty, please? I don't know if they want to be on camera at the moment. We got Eliza on the floor over there, and Leia's curled up in the blanket right there. But if they wander over here, I'll be happy to show them off. Got any tips on how to deal with feeling other alters depression when you don't want to or got stuff to do? I have not been able to figure that out. It's just kind of a plow through, make it happen anyway type of thing for us. If I figure out how to deal with it in a more efficient way, I will let y'all know. Kid, they're in a romantic relationship. Do you ever get jealous? No, not even a little bit. We have a really super fantastic polyamorous balance. And it is great for everybody. Like there are no downsides. Cats never really want to do what people want them to do. Truth. Whenever I'm trying to film and I don't want Leia on camera, she's all over the place. But now that I'm live, she's just like, no, I'll just be over here. I'll be hiding. How many different alters will front per day? Usually it's 2 or 3 of us out. It's very rare that there are no switches in a day. So 2 or 3 of us will be like kind of rotating out throughout the day usually, but sometimes more if things are hectic. Who's Kit dating? Andrew. Okay, everybody. Kit is dating Andrew, and I am married to Andrew. That is the relationship. Does Michelle like Applejack from MLP? My favorite pony is Applejack. Her favorite pony is Rainbow Dash and Pinkie Pie. I guess that's 2 ponies, but. Do you rapid switch? Yeah, and it sucks. Rapid switching is exhausting and it's super disorienting because it's very hard to like, because if someone switches out front, usually we're able to be co-conscious pretty quickly. So we don't have time gaps, but like during rapid switching, it's really hard to stay co-conscious. So like we get blackout or like memory loss and it's no good. Does that mean you guys have a poly relationship? Yes. Yes, it does. How long does the alter stay out for? It honestly depends on what's going on. Does Andrew get resentful towards the body if he gets into an argument with one alter? No, he keeps that between him and the alter, you know, that he's having the disagreement with. You know, he recognizes us all as individuals. So it's like if you were hanging out with a group of friends and Sally pissed you off, but Karen, you know, didn't, you wouldn't go yell at Karen being like, Sally, how could you? Do the little still call Andrew dad? Michelle never called him dad because she doesn't like the idea of having a dad or parents of any kind. She likes being like, I'm a self-sufficient. Karen no longer calls him dad. She aged up to 9. and she says that he's now her best friend, and she thinks it's weird to have her best friend be her dad. So Andrew is now just best friend. Hey, Daniel, I'm asexual too, and I know how you feel about relationships. It sucks. Daniel will appreciate that. Have you ever had embarrassing situations with switching? Probably. Do you guys have a prison? I do, and I'm told it's not healthy. We don't. We did have Jacob lock up Mistletoe for a while, and our therapist was like, don't you ever do that again. We were like, okay, because it's super unhealthy. Just it's counterproductive, it's re-traumatizing, it's bad stuff. Do you switch when we sleep, or can you perceive alters while sleeping? Yes, we switch when we sleep. Like one of us will go to bed, another one of us will wake up, and so we know that at some point we switch when we sleep. We also switch in dreams. I don't know if that is like, I don't know how that works, but I know switching happens in dreams, and like we'll have different vividness of the dream depending on who was out front at the time. Does everyone miss mistletoe? Man, the stuff that happened with mistletoe is so, like, it's so complicated. Because, like, there was never closure with mistletoe. Like, I was to a point where I was like, okay, I can accept you beyond the persecutor aspects. Like, I'm willing to embrace you and start a new relationship with you. But then she integrated. And I was just like, okay, oh, now what? So like there's still so much weirdness for me surrounding mistletoe, because I didn't get to rebuild anything with her, and I didn't get to know her after she realized what her past was and decided she was going to stop. Like, so yeah, it's just, it is what it is, I guess. How did everyone deal with mistletoe? Were there long-term effects for any of your headmates? I mean, we dealt with her just by reminding each other that the stuff that she was saying was not healthy. Yeah, Christian, it's possible and valid to miss her and the potential of what your relationship could be, but not miss what it was. I think that's a really accurate way of describing what I feel. Like I miss what I was ready to have with her, if that makes any sense. What do you think about getting a tattoo for a system? Do you think everyone would need to be asked about getting a tattoo? I do think I would ask everyone before we got a tattoo, definitely. But like every time we look at getting a tattoo, because there are tons of tattoos that we want, but we're like, we also love traveling. And every time I look at a tattoo price, I'm like, but that's almost a ticket to this country. And so I just don't. Did mistletoe integrate with one of you or equally throughout? She integrated with Kit and I, we found out. Like more with Kit, but also a little bit with me. How do you stop alters that hate their host? You have to communicate with them. You have to communicate with them and talk to them just like you would an outside person. But with more patience and forgiveness, because an outside person comes with their own baggage, and when they're toxic, you can cut them off. You can't do that with part of your own brain. So you got to figure out that. Are there group therapies for DID? Yes. In places. They're not everywhere, but they exist. What could we get as a gift for your system that you'd really appreciate? The best system pride gift is use the hashtag and @ me on Twitter so I can see how you celebrated, because that was so fun. I've been following the tag all day, and it's just like great to see all of that. Oh, bye, Stacy. Have a good night. What does it mean to integrate? Is it like merging? I'm really confused. To integrate, I guess it's like merging. Like people have different like words that they use to describe it, but she is no longer a single autonomous individual. The parts that were dedicated to her have now merged with myself and Kit, and so there is no like separate mistletoe. It's like Kit and I evolved like Pokemon when Kit merged with us. Or when Mistletoe merged with us. Hot gummy video, watched it 4 times, laughed so hard. Yeah. I still have the plate of gummies. I haven't thrown them out yet. Kit's like, I should eat all of them on camera to prove that I have the higher tolerance. And I'm like, please don't. Please don't. I abused the hashtag today. Do it. Get it. One of these days, one of these years, we're going to trend. We're going to be on the trending thing. I'll be like, yours. Opinion on pancakes. Pancakes are great. I just wish they were gluten-free. Yes, I know there are gluten-free pancakes. It's just they're not as common. Have you ventured into your inner world more? Yeah, I have. I can kind of like walk around the city near the apartment now. Like I'm slowly expanding where I can go. Yeah, medications affect communication and awareness with the system. Yeah. Crap, what was the medication I was on? I got off it because it just was like all sorts of not good for us. It started with a Z. It's not Xanax. It's crap, I can't remember what the name is. No, it is Xanax. Yeah, it was Xanax. Apparently, that increases dissociation. And when I got off that medication, we could communicate a lot better. Do you have a gluten allergy? I have Hashimoto's, which is an autoimmune everybody's like, is it Zoloft? Is it Zoloft? Is it Zoloft? Fun fact, violently allergic to Zoloft. But yeah, with gluten, I have Hashimoto's, which is a disorder, an autoimmune disorder that where your immune system attacks your thyroid. And apparently the thyroid protein and the gluten protein are almost identical. And so when you've got gluten in your body, more of the antibodies are created to attack the gluten and your thyroid. So you get hypothyroidism. And one of the ways, like a short, like not like a lifelong solution, but a pretty long solution is to go gluten-free. And then your thyroid will go back to normal levels. So that's what we gotta do. Good night, Bobo and Co. How do you help an alter who doesn't identify with their biological family but wants relatives of their own? Best family is the family you find. Just saying, friends can be family. You have 2 alters that were supposed to be bad guys. I'm just wondering how you felt when you got 2 bad guys. Really, I wasn't so much worried about the fact that they were created after villains. I was nervous about the fact that they were very recognizable characters, and I was worried about all like people being like, nah, that's proof that you're faking. I'm just like, because that happens. But I knew that they were created for a reason and that they were going to help, and they did, and they're great, and I feel bad for being nervous at all because they're amazing. A lot of us have adopted other alters into the family. Yes. How are you guys holding up after everything that happened that day or happened today? Good. There was a drama llama who tried to come in, but we had a fantastic celebration. We got to be at work and like hang a flag at work and hand out little flyers explaining System Pride Day. And I got to wear this. And Julie came to work with a System Pride Ally shirt. She had like the koi fish that Kit drew. And I did System Pride Day makeup. So you can kind of see it's like orange and then white in the middle. And it's got like a black smoky thing. It's been a good day. Will there be an unboxing soon? Yes, we're combining January and February unboxing video into one. So expect that. We're going to take one last trip to the post office on Tuesday. And then we'll be doing that. Because you have great people in your life. I fucking know it. Like, just... I don't know how I found these amazing people, but there are so many amazing people in my life. And I wake up every day being like, dang, I am lucky as hell. Opinion on waffles. Yeah. probably a controversial opinion, but waffles are better than pancakes. You heard it here first, folks. What's the worst experience you've had with switching? Oh, I don't even know. I'm dressed as the system pride flag. Hell yeah! Please tweet the photo of that at me. Please, please. Oh, I just figured out which user is Jen. Because she says, we are the lucky ones, friend. I didn't know what your username was, but now I know. Just got here. Who's fronting? It's Win. It's a very dissociated Win. If I need to step off camera, then y'all know why. A lot of people are agreeing with me about waffles. When you come up from a dream, is the theme of the dream continued or the dream rapidly changed? Oh, come up front. No, usually it's a continuation of the same storyline, just kind of like with life, how we're going through something and then all of a sudden someone switches and it's just a progression. That happens in our dreams too. Pineapple on pizza? My favorite pizza has always been Hawaiian pizza. Like, before the internet existed as like a social thing, my favorite pizza was Hawaiian pizza and continues to be to this day. Fight me. How long are you streaming for? I don't know. I got nothing going on right now. I'll stream until you guys get bored of me. How many things can happen simultaneously? For example, if Kid is fronting, can Win explore the inner world and Daniel have a conversation with Kid? Yeah. We all act independently of one another. So there could be a whole adventure happening in the inner world potentially, and having the person up front not have any idea what's going on with the others. Yeah, that's totally possible. When I don't want to fight you about Hawaiian, I know. You know what, though? It's okay that you guys don't like it, because that means there's more for me at the end of the day, as long as it's on a gluten-free crust. Favorite animals. My favorite animal, number one, absolutely number one, is elephant. Number two is ram. I feel like a very close, like, spiritual connection to ram. I will never, please don't have anybody ever say that I said it was my spirit animal, because I will never take that, because that is a Native American thing. That is like a cultural thing and is not what I mean. But I have a very spiritual attachment to rams. And that's why my ram, oh, you can't see him. Can you see him? He's right up there. Right above my finger, the ram that I got in Nevada. But anyway, also owls. World Gamers, thank you! I'm the host of a female, but I was not the original personality since the body is male. Does that invalidate me being trans since the combination of DID trans is bad stigma? Hell no, that does not invalidate you. You are valid as hell, and your identity is valid as hell. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what anybody outside thinks. You know you. You know your truth. Yeah. Other people can suck on an egg. I'm not an Aries. I'm a Libra. So not why I identify with the ram. French toast. Not a huge fan of French toast, actually. What advice do you have for allies that usually get wrong? Allies, just ask questions. Just ask questions. Be open-minded. Be willing to say, oh, shoot, I was wrong. I'm sorry. And, you know, that's the best thing as an ally that you can do, is listen and ask questions of any community. If you are trying to be an ally to people of color, or an ally to the LGBT community, or the ally to et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. If you are not a part of that community and you want to be an ally, listen, let them tell you where the boundaries are and what's okay and what's not okay, and echo that. What's my favorite color? My favorite color is purple and orange. I like orange because it's the color of fall leaves. It has nothing to do with why I chose the color on the thing here, just for the record. Oh Oh my God. Ale, thank you. We love you too. You sweetheart. Thank you. Would you be okay with someone drawing a fursona of you? Yes. Yes, I would be okay with that. I used to have one. I was never a furry. I never had any desire to be a furry. In high school, I had no idea what furries were, but I knew that one of my best friends constantly drew himself and his girlfriend as animals. I thought that was cool as hell. So I started to do that too. Do you have any future plans for your hair? Yes. So the system kind of collectively was like, okay, since we're doing fun colors, Kit, go ahead and do your colors. So she was like, yes, I'm getting purple. And our hair was still too deep red with the dye. They couldn't lift it enough for us to do the light purple that she wanted. So we're going with this, and we're going to let it fade until we can have light purple in our hair. And then down the road, we might see if we can do a split like Kim has. We know we absolutely won't be able to do black and white because our hair will not turn white no matter what. But we can maybe do a split color because the guys are like not as troubled by the hair color now that we've had it, and they were like, oh, this doesn't invalidate us at all. What anime are you guys currently watching, if any? We religiously keep up with seasonal anime. So Last Shield Hero is my favorite one this season. The Promised Neverland is a really great horror anime that's happening, or like suspense thriller anime. My Roommate is a Cat is so pure. It's so pure and sweet. And then there's one that's like Kaguya something something. I forget, but it's about two tsundere characters who are trying to get the other person to admit their love because they don't want to be the one to do it. And it's so funny, and I love it. Are you excited for Yuri on Ice stuff? I never watched Yuri on Ice. Sarah Cole, thank you. Have a great rest of the day. Thank you for your vids. I'm off to bed. I hope you have super awesome dreams and that you wake well rested. Signing off, not helpful at this point. I'm sorry you didn't find the live stream helpful. May I ask if the sexualities have shifted or evolved? Yes, so we don't discuss our identities anymore because the Tumblr gatekeepers were mean, and we just don't need that stress. Win, please tell everyone in the system hello from Sid and Brandon. We love your content. I will do so. Thank you. Birthstone, Opal, because I was born in October. Labyrinth System is here. Hi, Labyrinth System. Question from an open-minded but inadequately educated ally. What is the difference between what is real and a brain's backstory for explaining things? I think like the best way to describe it is what is the inner world story and what is the outer world story. Because the inner world can be just as real. It's not real to everybody. So I think, yeah, just kind of getting to distinguish between what's inner world and what's outer world. Chainlinks the system, thank you so much. What topics do you think should be covered more in the DID-OSTD community? We're polyfragmented and introject prone, and I wanted to talk about that. Don't have a camera, though. Yeah, I think that polyfragmented systems are super underrepresented. Acrylic and Ether do a great job talking about that, and I really want to do a collab with them on that subject. But I don't I haven't experienced that, so I can only speak about that to so much. So I think that having more male representation on YouTube would be super duper awesome. Because there are not a lot of males. There's definitely more, and I mean there's more of a ratio of people in general, of women to male people who have DID, but I think that having more male representation would be good. How many littles do we have? We have 3 by our age limit thing, but Todd doesn't like to identify as a little. He's 9, but he prefers to be identified as a middle. What's a polyfragmented system? A system that has more than 100 altars is the easy answer to that. Gotta go, don't want to. Bye, cool kid. What about the ones that others can... What about... when one of them is out, can the others hear if someone talks about them? Oh, yeah, they're constantly listening for their names. And if I talk about them too much, the brain will sometimes just, like, make them front. And so we have to, like... I don't understand why people like to say things to harm. Agreed. I'm excited that Fruits Basket is coming back. Yes! Me too! That was like my manga in middle school and high school. I was so in love with that series, and I am so excited to watch the new anime. Oh my god. Opinions on turtles. I love the heck out of turtles. They're cute as heck. What would you do about a new all little in the system? Just add the same thing I would do about a new any altar in the system. Make them feel loved and comfortable. Savannah the awkward llama. It is okay that you missed a lot. You were at the doctor for a good reason. And I'm glad you did the self-care thing. Do you prefer your anime subbed or dubbed? Oh, subbed all the way. Sometimes a dub can have decent actors, but so often it's just painful and bad. So I just avoid it all by sticking to sub. Riley White, gotta go. Bye. I remember someone said you watched Psycho-Pass. Have you watched the second season? Yeah, we didn't like it as much as the first, but it was still good. Can alters have their own birthdays? Yeah, absolutely. Both Michelle and Kim Kim have picked out days that they want to celebrate as their birthday. Have you ever practiced escapism, and would you support anyone that did? Like, escapism, like, that's how DID happens. So, yes. Yes, I have. How do you map a system? Honestly, I don't know. From what I understand, it's supposed to, like, if you have a lot of barriers in your system, it's supposed to help you figure out, like, who is able to connect with who, so you can, like, figure out, like, what systems, like, what paths you need to go through to get messages to certain altars and stuff like that. I never did that. Chris Artsy says, I have to watch out when I talk about my co-host. They are so nosy that as soon as I talk about them, they're like, okay, my turn. Yeah, right. Who swears the most in the system? Kim Kim, actually. She has the mouth of a sailor. Not sure where you live. I live in Omaha, which I can only say with safety because I have a P.O. box there, so it's out anyway. Bailey, thank you. Much love to you all. You're doing something very vulnerable and wonderful, and I appreciate it endlessly. Thank you. Does Kit still swear the most? Nope. It is definitely Kim Kim. She's a swearing little girl. I'll rewatch this after this is over. Hope you all are well, and congrats on System Pride Day success. Thank you so much, Savannah. Aubrey Garrick, thank you. Have yourself a cup of coffee, tea. Oh, thank you so much. With the weather, it is, I'm looking out the window and it's completely whited out with this blizzard. So a tea after this cold, when the blizzard calms down, is going to be so nice. Who's fronting? It is Win. What's the word for a system where some altars have split off from other altars? That's also polyfragmented? I think that when you get to 100, that kind of, I'm so bad at this, but I feel I've heard it used both to describe systems with over 100 altars and systems who have altars that have split off from altars. So I know that that's called a subsystem. If there is an altar within the system, also has a system, that's called a subsystem. Does your inner world change in little ways? Oh, yeah, probably. I haven't explored it enough to know, but probably. How do I convince my alters to front with my therapist if they don't want to? Try not to force them. If there are other ways they feel comfortable talking to your therapist, like writing your therapist a letter that you can bring to the session, try to meet them where they're at. Because, it's a trauma thing, and forcing them to do something they don't feel safe doing is probably going to be re-traumatizing. It snows so often by you. Yeah, man, this polar vortex crap in the Midwest. Plus, there's no large body of water to regulate our temperature or anything. So, you really should share a cup of tea with Dissociated. I'd love to see that happen one day. I would love to see that happen one day. I adore Dissociated so much. What surprised you the most about the first System Pride Day? How big it is. Just like how many people are celebrating and posting about it. And it's so exciting. Feel lucky you have snow, you were in the middle of a flood. Oh, God. That's not good. Have you heard of tulpomancy? I already talked about my feelings on tulpas in this stream. Have you ever misplaced your wedding ring because an alter took it off? No, but I've misplaced other rings and lost some. But we don't take off the wedding ring. The wedding ring does not come off ever. I have a question when you're talking about mistletoe and then forgot, but you mentioned mistletoe and only happy memories. Why do you think that despite this, she suffered from so much depression? So with mistletoe, she grew up in a happy existence. And even the most perfect existence in this world is not all happy all the time. So she went from that to seeing where I am now, which is a super healthy place. Leia, what the hell are you doing? She found paper. Leia, come here. Leia, come here, baby. The internet wants to love you. Come here. Oh, there you are. Hi. Come say hi. Come say hi. I love you. I love you. I love you so much. Mistletoe, yeah. So she what she saw now that she was seeing the whole real world was terrifying to her. It was absolutely terrifying. It was like living in a nightmare because she had never experienced anything sad or upsetting in any way. And so that's why she suffered from such anxiety and sadness and stress. How many altars are nearby? So the reason people can sometimes hear altars coming through is because we have the same vocal cords. So, earlier today while I was at work with Julie, I was just kind of playfully all right, I'll do that. Just as a funny voice. And Julie snapped over to me and was like, Jessica? And I was like, no, it's just me. So sometimes we're going to sound like each other. And apparently I'm kind of the vocal combination of everyone else in the system, which makes sense because I was the one out front most of the time and I didn't know about them. And so their stuff just subconsciously rubbed off on me. But there are a lot of people that are close. Lito's not close right now, but a lot of people are watching inside. It's 80s here today in Florida. Oh my God, I'm jealous. How did you manage your marriage with your alters? Have you ever been jealous of an alter flirting with your partner? Never jealous of an alter flirting with my partner. Managed it with patience. And he had patience for us. We had patience for him. Actually, we didn't. We were really not great about it when he first learned about it. But he had patience with us, and we learned how to have patience with him because we love him. And we needed to be able to do that for him. I think the ones that are closest, hard to tell apart, are Kit and Win. Yeah, our personalities are very different, but the more time we spend up front with one another, the more that our voices sound the same. Any tips for how to keep a healthy marriage relationship? Communication and honesty. Be completely honest. with your partner at all times. And never stop trying to woo them, you know, as long as they're doing that back. Any language on alters who speak, or any tips on alters who speak other languages? I don't know what kind of tips you're looking for on that. After 3 years, switching and not being co-conscious is a scary concept to us, even though it's a huge inner world. Yeah, not being co-conscious is terrifying. Losing time, even though, like, whoever was out front at the time, I trust all of the members of my system. And I know that bad things are not going to happen when I'm not aware of the time passing. But having lost time is always terrifying to me. Just doesn't change. My psychologist agreed I'm very dissociative and got something close to DID, but not fully. Thinking OSD 1A, but feel invalid for self-diagnosing. Man, I mean, if you're gonna with DID and OSDD go so misdiagnosed all the time that if you, I feel that there's no shame in softly diagnosing yourself with that. Like, I definitely wouldn't be like, I've never seen a therapist, but I have this, and no one will ever change my mind. But being like, hey, my experiences line up a lot with this, and my specialist is telling me this too. I don't have an official diagnosis, but this is what I feel like it is. I feel like that's completely valid. My alter is German and we were half asleep. We talk in our sleep and we spoke fluent German even though the body doesn't. Oh, that's cool. You always feel like you have someone there for you and with you, or do you ever feel alone? Both. It's really great to have that internal system relationship, but it can still feel so lonely sometimes. What can you do to help as an ally if you don't know any systems in person? Wandering Koala Key. Love from, or Kai, sorry, love from Cry, you're inspiring and thank you. Thank you! You sweet, sweet person. Thank you. An ally if you don't know any systems in person. Use the hashtag. You know, spread awareness, share educational videos that really influenced you and made, like, you were like, wow, this was a really, like, aha moment for me, and share that with other people. Just, like, if you see people making jokes about, like, multiple personalities and whatever, like, oh, I'm this person, but my crazy multiple personality is just Jeanette, or whatever, be like, hey, not okay. That's not an okay joke. And, you know, maybe explain why. What inspired you to start System Pride Day? Because I wanted to work past my trauma by making my alters feel appreciated and letting them know that I don't want them to have to hide who they are, that they are just as valid and as deserving of a life as I am. And then that I was like, why, you know what? Every system should have a chance to do that. And that's why I decided to pitch the idea. Are there cars in the headspace? I've seen taxis. So yes. It's mostly just foot traffic though. Who's been out the most today? Today it's been Win. You can design a System Pride ally flag. I have in my Redbubble. If you search the entropy system on Redbubble, I made ally stuff. So it's the same colors, but it just says ally on it. But if allies want to make a flag, then I mean, I'm not here to stop you, yo. What about people who are persecuted for having dissociative identity disorder? That is sick. That is absolutely sick. No one should be persecuted. I mean, this is not, I mean, DID is not something you can help. It's not something you can control. You know, it's something, it's like if you have anxiety, you cannot just stop having anxiety. You can't be like, oh, whoops, my bad, turn that off. You know, it's not something you can do. You know, it's not okay. Like my heart goes out to anyone who is actively persecuted because of their multiplicity. And I hope that the world becomes a safer place where that doesn't happen anymore. Does it ever go quiet in your headspace for a long time? Yeah, and it doesn't scare me so much anymore because I understand that that's a thing that happens, but there are days where I have no contact in the inner world, just none. So there's not an ally color then? I mean, I don't have one. I designed the flag for the multiplicity community. I love that there are allies, and I think that it's totally fine for allies to wear the colors, and just to be allies and to, be like, hey, these colors mean I support you. But like, yeah, I didn't have any color specifically. Chloe's here. Hello, Chloe. Miss Julie's still watching. I love you, Miss Julie. What are strong believers of the supernatural? I'm strong believers of the supernatural. Man, I'm Wiccan. So, yeah, no, I am too. And I don't think that invalidates the mental health experience at all, because I definitely know the difference between my system and my supernatural, spiritual, whatever experiences. And you can have both. You have advice for family members or systems whose families don't give them or don't support it? Yeah, family is tricky. Family is tricky. That's hard. What I would say is, you can't force someone to accept something, but you can choose how you react to it. And you can choose to just be like, hey, you support me or you're not around me, and separate yourself from that. That'd be my best advice. Wandering Koala again. Oh my God. Thank you. Keep up the awesome and educating. I will, every chance I get. So I got to present my thesis to the Nebraska Geological Society on Thursday, which is a very exciting opportunity. And I got to rub elbows with some very influential geologists in the state. And then, because it was like a dinner. And so during dinner, I found a way to work DID into the conversation and educate the people at my table. So I will always find a way to educate. Do you have a Snapchat? I don't. I mean, I do have a private one that I message my friends on, but I don't have a public Snapchat. Any ideas on things aspiring therapists should know or should not do? Don't assume you know more about the system than your client does. And do research the hell out of DID. Like anything you can find. Read it, absorb it, meet your system where, with that information, but let the system guide how they explain reality. Like to a degree, obviously if they're like, we can actually, there's 50 altars and you only see one body now, but we can split out to 50 people at the same time and multiply our body. It'd be like, okay, but within reason, let them guide. I kind of went off on that tangent after promising never to give medical advice. That wasn't medical advice. That was my personal opinion. I am not qualified to give medical advice of any kind. I am not a specialist. I do not have any degrees or certifications. So that was my opinion. That's what worked with us. That was it. I shouldn't have. I need to not go down that road. I'm sorry. Any tips you can keep up with a system journal and what to put in it? Oh, sorry for being repetitive. Guys, so when I read a question, I then look away from the things so I can answer the question without being super distracted. So I'm sure that there are questions that keep coming through that I'm missing every time. So do not feel bad if you're just cycling the same question through every 5 seconds. If I haven't seen it, then I haven't seen it, and I'll try to get to it if I see it. Insomnia Oasis, thank you so much. I live in a small town and I don't think it's safe to tell people I have DID. I'm the host and a useless lesbian, but I have come out now and it feels like I have to do it again. Advice? Let me come back to you, Insomnia. I'm going to answer that other question really quick. with the system journal thing, but I will come back to your question. So with the system journal, what we ended up doing that was most successful for us is literally just have it be a diary. And so we can talk about our emotions, our feelings, what we're experiencing, what we like, what we don't like. And then the rest of us can go back and read those journal entries to get to know each other better. And when we read those journal entries, we found the internal communication was better. So like, you know, writing about the inner world, writing about your hopes, dreams, your feelings about a situation, drawing pictures of yourself or the inner world where you live or whatever. That's all stuff that helped us a lot. Also, okay, so now Insomnia Oasis, you're not useless. And it's beautiful that you're a lesbian, and I'm sorry that you had trouble coming out because being in small towns suck. Being a lesbian is beautiful, and you are not useless. But yeah, having to come out again, yeah, it is kind of like that. So come out to people who you think you're safe around. You know, don't put yourself at risk. Don't put yourself at risk. Don't feel pressured to do that kind of like, just be like, oh, well, Wynn's so candid about her DID. I should be that too. No, everybody's situation is different. And I'm very fortunate in the people who I'm surrounded by and my support group. So I'm in a place where I can afford to be candid. Not everybody is. So keep your safety first. And don't feel like you're obligated to be out about your multiplicity. Your experience with thought insertion. It's frustrating. I'm going to college very soon. Do you have any advice for keeping up with deadlines and being hidden with accents? Accents are trickier, but deadlines, we have 3 calendars. We have one on the wall right there that's dry erase that we keep all of our like things that are upcoming on there. We have a book that Kit keeps for us with stickers and crap that we break down our stuff hour by hour. Let me find the most recent page because it's got stickers and jazz. So this is our journal here. And then we also have it on our phone. So we have it everywhere. So everybody will have instant access no matter where they are. What do you think overt versus covert systems form, or why? It depends. Like every system's experience is different. No 2 systems had the same trauma. Even if they were in the same family with the same people, they're not going to have the same trauma because that's the way life works. And so some people were safer being covert. Some people were safer, like the way that some people, when they were external about their escapism, by having like alters be like super different from them, that's how they were able to cope. Some keeping it hidden and being very subtle about it, that's how they were able to cope. You know, both are valid. What video games have you played recently? I'm currently playing Kingdom Hearts 3, and yes, it is just as magical as I'd hoped it be. Our littles don't have anything to do IRL, and I'm worried about letting them out in case anyone sees. I have stuffies and coloring books for the littles for when they come out. And Karen likes slime. So I got some slime off of Etsy for Karen to play with. And then anyone in the system have several people in the outer world who they only talk, and no one else in the system has a strong relationship with them. No. Not that no one else in the system has a strong relationship. Like, Lita was most close to Julie, and he doesn't have, like, super close connections to anyone other than Julie outside of the system, but all of us really love Julie. So there's not a person who is, like, friends with only one of us and no one else. What color is the slime? She's got a red one and she's got a blue one. One of them smells like strawberries, one of them smells like soap and has, like, little glass beads that look like soap bubbles. Different handwriting and problems with school assignments because of it. It never had that problem because most of my assignments were typed. Christian F, we love Julie too. She's great. She is great. I need to have her on for another live stream. Julie, you down for another live stream at some point? Any advice for littles in the workplace? Therapist advice for me when it came to that was try to have someone inside take care of the littles and keep them from the front, so that they don't come out in adult only times, and try to explain to the littles that like work and school are adult only times. And if they want to come out, make time for them at home when it is safe and okay for them to do so. But yeah, definitely having littles out in adult situations is not great for anybody. Wandering Koala, you're so generous. Oh my God, this is your 3rd donation. Just wanted to show support and have a safe rest of the day, night. Much love. Love the glasses, by the way. Thanks. Seriously, thank you so much. You're so sweet. Any advice on if they do come out? If you have someone at work who you're out with, having them kind of like help the little back inside, or, you know, having someone assigned to little duty. If little finds the way out, find someone who could switch out easily with them. I'm not sure what advice to give beyond that. What's your favorite video game? Right now, Kingdom Hearts 3. I super duper love the Tomb Raider games, though, the new ones. They're amazing. Love your glasses, Entropy System. Thanks! I got these because my favorite anime character also wears glasses like these, because I am a nerd. Is it possible for victims to have trauma flashbacks of only things that happened to them in their stories? Yeah, that's possible. Miss Julie says, I've met Michelle and Karen at work, and really just making them feel comfortable about being out. It seems more difficult to switch with an adult when they are stressed out. Yes, that is a big thing for our system, is if you're out and you have big emotions, like high levels of stress or sadness or anger or whatever, the bigger your emotion while you're in the body, the harder it is for someone to help you switch back out, or like to go back inside so they could switch out and run the body. So like having grounding tools is like essential for us. How do you help developing alters? Is the anime Beyond the Border? Yes, it is. Or Beyond the Boundary, but yeah, I get what you're saying. But yeah, how do I help developing alters? Is I come to them and I'm like, hey, welcome to the world. Tell me about yourself. What would you like to experience on the outside world? When do you feel comfortable fronting? What accommodations can I make for you? Let me get to know you. Would you like me to draw you? Will you want to write in the journal? And just kind of like let them guide how they want to start interacting with the system and listen to their advice. Like with Ed and Oz, they were immediately hands-on. They're like, this is our role. And I was like, okay. And with Jessica, when she realized she was part of a system, she's like, yo, I really need my space. And I was like, okay. What do you do when grounding tools don't work? We are at a point where grounding tools, like our tools to ground, work pretty consistently, and that's the major reason why we don't have regular therapy anymore, because we're able to do that for ourselves. But if certain grounding techniques don't work for you, find other techniques. Like the whole 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 thing never worked for us. But feeling cold things did, or smelling citrus did. So we did that. Like everybody's like, okay, 5 things you hear and 4 things you see and whatever. And it's like, no, that's not helping us at all. And that's like the staple that everybody suggests. So we found things that have worked for us. You have a favorite go-to grounding technique? Chanting. Like I'll say this is, my name is, my body is this many years old. I live here. It's this year. And I'll just repeat that over and over again. And that helps me come down and grounds me in the present. So that's the one I go to most often. You have a safe place? It's right here, yo. This couch with my stuffies. This is my safe place. And popcorn. Popcorn's my safe food. Bye. Any advice for someone wanting to date an alter? Same advice for wanting to date anybody. You know, when you date someone, you generally got to get the approval of their friends. When you date an alter, you got to get an approval of the system. Is the body's birthday today also? No, my body's birthday is in October. So that was the original date that I had proposed for System Pride Day, but that was not a date that the community felt comfortable with, so we moved it to February. But I was born in October. The tiger has toes. It does. I love this tiger. It's such a good cuddle. Does your tiger have a name? Yes. So this is Andrew the tiger, because we only cuddle with Andrews. And so he's like a big, long, like, good cuddle buddy on the couch. So when Andrew's at work, we cuddle with Andrew the tiger. Are you a Libra? Yes, I am a Libra. Is my cat a grounder? Sometimes, but generally when we're in a flashback, having physical touch is bad. Like bad. So the cat's coming up and like being like, pet me is an anxiety thing. So not usually a grounder, no. How was your System Pride Day? Thank you, Lantern Sky, for asking. It was really great. I was kind of heartbroken last night because it was like, it's going to be a blizzard all day tomorrow. And so I didn't think I was going to be able to go to work. And I had like set up a flag at work and like had flyers. I was wearing this t-shirt. Julie had a t-shirt she was going to wear. And like, it was going to be great. And I was going to spread education. It was going to be fun. And it was like, oh no, the store's going to close. But I ended up being able to work most of my shift before the store closed. So I got to celebrate, and now I'm live streaming with you guys and talking about fun things, and it's awesome. Our birthday is October 7th. Are we twins? You were born 3 days before me. Plus, you know, however many years we are separated. I'm going to try to calm down and eat ice cream. Have some happy System Pride. Ice cream is so good. I hope you're able to calm down. Good luck. Do cats react differently to each alter? Not very much, but they also don't act differently around almost anybody. They're all like, they love attention. They love pets. If you come into the apartment, they will be like, love me. But Leia is definitely like 10 times more affectionate with Andrews, or when Daniel's out. And Eliza and Kim have a special bond. Advice when friends don't want to be around littles? Tell your friends to suck it up. They love all of you or they love none of you. I don't tolerate stuff like that. Like, I only like these alters. I don't want to be around these alters. Tough cookies, kid. How do you get over feeling stupid and dumb and pathetic for using grounding tools that seem silly? I remind myself that is the voice of abusers that have remained in my head. And anytime I'm like, I am invalid for what I have to do to take care of myself, that is the voice of abusers being like, go, you know, just perpetuating that harm. And when I view it that way, it's a lot easier to say, no, abusive voice. I will take care of myself and I won't feel bad about it. Curious how y'all came up with the name Entropy. I covered that one in earlier this video. So feel free to rewatch. Middle comes out at therapy after they left. I feel embarrassed. Is that normal to feel embarrassed? Yeah, that's something I still struggle with too, because Little's coming out is a really invulnerable thing. Or not invulnerable, it is very vulnerable. And so it's totally normal to feel nervous about being in such a vulnerable position. But a good therapist will help you work through that. Have your friends and fam ever fought with an alter? Yeah, Andrew's first encounter with Kit was a fight. She came out and just started yelling at him. Because I was going through stress I didn't know how to handle, and she was like, why can't you solve her problem for her? And he's like, are you kidding me right now? But they made up, obviously, because now they're in love. Do any other alters lose time or just win? It happens the most to me, but it does happen to others in the system sometimes. How do you tell people about being multiple? I just do. kind of. I've gotten to the point where I just say it like really nonchalantly when I bring it up in conversation, and I always follow it up with some kind of like shorthand explanation of like, yeah, it's a coping mechanism from childhood trauma. It's not actually that big of a deal. And then people are just like, oh, okay. How do you cope when the body gets sick, like mentally? I know when the body gets sick, it's a lot harder to switch. So whoever's out is just out, and then we rest and get healthy, like self care. Amy made a video with hashtag System Pride Day. I will have to check that out. What is everyone's birthday and or zodiac sign? So, Kit and I are Libras. We identify with the same birthday. Kim is a Taurus, and Michelle is a Gemini. No one else has like a specific day. What should you do if someone won't stop asking you about your trauma? Tell them to go screw themselves because it's none of their damn business. Does one of your alters smoke? No, none of us smokes. We have family members who have experienced terrible things because of smoking, and that terrifies us, and we will never smoke. How do you deal with wanting to tell people when you shouldn't? I tell them. I just do. That's probably not the best advice for everyone to follow, but that's how I do it. What happens when a little throws a tantrum? How do you deal with that? My littles don't throw tantrums. They are more fear than they are anger. And so when they come out, they just get very quiet and like shy away from other people. So that's not something that I've experienced. No Capricorns. Nope, but Andrew's a Capricorn. So that's something. Do you ever experience one alter getting sick, but another alter fronting at some point not getting sick? Not like sick, but we do, like, when we were on the Xanax, they had nasty side effects, and some of us experienced them more than others. So, like, when the side effects were hitting, Daniel would come out, and he wouldn't experience them like the rest of us. Say off the wacky tobacco. Yeah! I only remember one trauma event, but nothing else. I'm scared to see a professional about it. Advice? You know, I chose to do trauma work because I needed it. I felt that I needed it to become safe and to understand my triggers and like how to keep myself safe. Multiplicity and me decided not to do trauma processing because they were like, you know what? I'm functional and there will be I don't see any benefit to processing trauma. And so they didn't. They just got help from a therapist to communicate and improve their functionality. So you're going to have to decide if that's something that's good for you. Werewolf or vampire? I think werewolf probably. I guess it depends on the which fantasy world we're talking about. Wandering koala. Oh my god. I'm not leaving yet, so I have some more support. What do you suggest for those who want to get help but are terrified to? Okay, so if you're too scared to talk to a therapist, like a specialist about your trauma or about your DID or whatever mental thing you're trying to have, you can actually see a therapist, like a not a specialist. You can see like a lower grade like person, like a counselor, to help teach you how to talk to a specialist and help you work out those fears. Like that is valid as hell if you need like to baby step up to talking to a specialist. But whether you want a trauma process or not, having professional help when you have a mental disorder is essential. Like it's having someone on the outside who knows their stuff to guide you through connecting with your system is so important. My coworker wants to be, my little's like a coworker and wants to be out around them, but no one at work knows. How do I keep a little from fronting? I mean, that's tough. Just the best, what I try to do is just explain, hey, this isn't safe. I know it's sad. Is there anything I can do to help you make you feel better when we're, in a private situation? Just the same way you would with a kid, because you can't control someone. You can't control an altar. It's not possible or a good idea. It can be super damaging. So, like, talking, compromising, yeah. Any suggestions on how to communicate with mute altars? Writing. Writing is good. Learning sign language. That's how Todd and I communicate. Wandering Koala, thanks again. It's 3 a.m., but this is interesting. I don't want to sleep. Do you have to get up in the morning? Like, don't. You can always come back and watch this when it's convenient. It's going to be available. Any advice on going on the merry-go-round of being diagnosed? Stick to your guns. Stick to your guns. You know your reality, and if someone, like, understand that misdiagnoses are going to happen. Try to find someone who specializes in dissociative disorders. That will be a lot more helpful than, like, that will help get you a good answer fast. Do you know ASL or is it home signing? I know about this much ASL, but I'm learning for Todd's sake. Vid going to be uploaded? I mean, it's not going to be uploaded because it just stays live. It's going to be accessible after the live, so yeah. Audiobooks, websites, other creators to learn about DID. So for books, I would watch Jonathan's video on resources for people who have DID, because he's got a lot of great books to learn about DID on there. Other creators, I mean, obviously Dissociated, Multiplicity and Me, Bobo and Co., Me, Myself, and Alu. I mean, just Google. I can't think of many DID web YouTubers that I wouldn't recommend. So, rock it. Listen, watch as many of them as you can. Get to know all the different perspectives. Can you have the OSDD without a subtype? Yes, I guess. I don't know. I don't know how that works. I don't know. I can't say positive one way or the other. What was the one thing you would want to inspire in others? Self-love. Like, I want to inspire people to feel valid about themselves, because I think the best way we can help the world is teaching people how to love themselves, because if you love yourself, it's easier to do what you believe in. Is there anyone co-conscious right now? So many of my headmates are co-conscious right now, and it's actually dissociating me a bit. What if the mute is little and cannot write? Picture flashcards, maybe? Like having a picture board, like the gorilla that communicates with humans with the picture board before she learned ASL. That could be an option. Sorry, I keep floating. How's everyone doing today? We're doing pretty great. Today's been a really good day. But everybody's been really excited. So, like, it's been kind of a dizzy day too. Somebody trying to come through? No, it's just like when you cram up against a window. Like everybody's trying to look through the one window and it's like just bumping around and God, I can't even read. Sorry, give me just one sec. I don't think I've ever dissociated this hard on a stream before. I'm so sorry. I might have to call it here in a minute. Because there's just too much excitement going on. When if you need to take a break, go take a break. Thank you, Jen. I will. Self-care first, I promise. Because what time? It's been about 2 hours. I think, you know what, loves? I think I'm going to call it. I think I need to go drink some hot tea and just kind of recenter. I will be on Tumblr, or not Tumblr. No, I will never be on Tumblr again, but I will be on Twitter for the rest of the night. Feel free to @ me, use the hashtag, spread awareness. I love you guys all so much. You're wonderful in every way, and I adore you, and I'm so glad to have this group of entropical fish just to celebrate System Pride with. I love you all. All right. Bye, guys. Thank you, Wandering Koala, again.